guess the biggest question was, Aaron, when you were there, did you measure with your ears?
Man, are we instigators or what?
Well, they were looking at me super weird, like, because I laid on the ground, and then, you know, my girlfriend, I was like, all right, take my ear and like hold my ear position on this speaker right here from the ground. And then I moved my head up a little bit more, and she held the ear position. We figured out it was about 32 ear inches tall for that Kef Blade 1 Meta.
He measures with his ears.
Yeah, I measure with my ears.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
So you know what you need some kind of a pedometer to track how many times your toe taps. You know, when you're listening, that's what you need.
Yep. Then I know if I like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
I have like
rate. You know what I mean? See if you're you listen with your heart.
Yeah. I listen to my heart when it's calling to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Listen to your heart.
To your heart. You know,
when he's calling for you. Listen to your heart.
You know, we're joking because there's somebody who said this, and you know, the truth is, when you have a system that is, you know, sounding good because it measures well and you have it tuned properly, you're gonna enjoy it, right? Yeah. You're gonna, and then if you listen to music you like, you're gonna enjoy it. I mean, I think what we're trying to do, what Aaron is trying to do, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, is just try to make it easier for you to find a system. Like if you had to guess, right? If you were to just guess, well, there's lots of speakers out there. But if you provide data, then your guess is going to be much better, right? Yes. You can start looking at things and narrow it down and base it on something versus, you know, your other option is base it off what a reviewer says, right? That's your other option. Just base it off. And you know, they're decent options, right? If you trust what the person has to say and they're consistent, that's the thing. Consistency is the thing that I think might be hard, because you may find if somebody's purely subjective, they may say a comment, then later on you watch another video and like, didn't you just say the opposite thing in the previous one? How does that work? Like, you know, so it's tough. You know what I mean?
Confusing.
And I'm not calling out, you know, subjective reviews, because I find that I've done that too, because I've changed my opinion sometimes, right? My taste may change, or the room I'm listening to in may be different. And so what I say in a previous video is going to seem like I'm jumping around. What is it?
Contradictory.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, where it's actually like I'm telling you the exact thing, but my room is different. Yeah. How do I explain that to somebody? Well, a measurement would be a good way to show that, right?
That's a good start. Yeah. I think like if you're always assuming that the speakers are probably going to the same place in your room, then you can say, all right, this speaker is probably better suited for that location. You know, if you're like most people, you don't have a lot of room to move speakers around. You're kind of, all right, I can put them here. And then that's it. So what are you going to do? What are you going to buy?
Yeah, well, for sure, what you're doing with measurements is it's getting adopted more and more, right? You hear more and more people talking more about measurements. It's not going to be right away.
Yeah,
it's not going to just all of a sudden be like, oh, the Klippel near field scanner, that's all I need, right? It's going to be slow. You're going to have some pushback, and it's just a matter of you continuing to show it and people learning. People have to learn about why that's useful. It's not contradictory to what somebody says, unless it is contradictory, in which case, you know,
then there's that too.
You have to point to where the issue is, right? So if the Klippel says, oh yeah, the bass is really good down to, 30 hertz, and somebody says, oh, I reviewed these and they don't have very much bass. Okay, well, is it the speaker or is it my room? Right. I think it's probably my room.
Right. Yeah.
Out.
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, he's measuring.
What's he measuring for?
Hey, you guys, I got the measuring tape out, but I can't hear you.
Frustrating me.
Oh
Yeah, you know, it's easy to make that mistake. I always like to look inwards and criticize myself first before I go and criticize somebody else. But even in reviewing these Arendal 1723 speakers, right? The towers. Chana and I, like both of us, like, dude, there's not a lot of bass, right?
Yeah.
And same with the center channel when we listen to that.
Right.
But I moved that thing near a back wall in a totally different location. So moving it near a wall, right? And I'm like, damn, measurably, this has a good amount of bass. The center channel, right? The monitor, like that has a good amount of bass. And it was measuring down like, you know, into the 20s, right? When it was near a wall. But when it wasn't near a wall, we're like, dude, where's the bass?
Yeah.
Just that.
Dude,
Just that. So, dude, where's the bass? Where's my bass?
Where's my bass?
So, you know, I don't know if that's an error on my part, right? Because we moved it to various locations, and a lot of them were more centered in the room, right? Mm-hmm. And I was just like, this bass is not that crazy. Or I think one big mistake is if somebody is used to placing their speakers in a certain location, and they're like, they think it's scientific. I just replace the speaker. I put it in the same exact location as the other one. So I know what my room does. Where's the port? Is it ported? Is it what, you know, is it going to be different if I have a different driver configuration?
Right.
I put it in the same exact location. Is that a good test?
Well, you know.
What do you say, Aaron, to that? You know,
I mean, it still depends because it can react differently. You know, like if it's got a front port or a rear port, where the port is relative to the ground, those things can matter, right?
So yeah. I mean, it would change the bass a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's maybe where there's a little bit of a disconnect, because I think maybe I mean, I used to think, hey, if I put the speaker in the same place, that's scientific, right?
Yeah.
I'm not moving the location, but I didn't I didn't know enough about speakers to know like where are the speakers, you know, and the fact is that it's going to be different depending on where that other person's speakers were that they're replacing. So anyway, Arendal 1723 monitor or THX speakers need to play to 80 hertz. Rest is optional. Yeah, no, I still agree with that. I still think that I was expecting more bass from the floor standing speakers. I'm just saying we were kind of saying like, there's no bass, but you know, some mistakes, right? So we were testing out the track, Chana, that you like stop time one, right?
Yeah.
And you said, hey, this had a ton of bass in your car, right? But I'm like, I don't know what the tuning is in your car, right? Maybe your car has a crazy amount of added bass. So we ended up listening to that same track
on your head
on my system after it's been tuned, and it still didn't have a ton of bass. And then I listened on the AKG K371s that are, you know, pretty accurate. And I had one on and the other one listening to the same song on my theater system, just to gauge tonality. And I'm like, the bass is not that hot on this song, right? It doesn't get crazy. So it's like, no, this just this track. So there's lots of room for error. Yeah. So there's some room for Aaron.
I was about to say that.
I mean, thanks. I think. Is there room for my earlobe though? Because I got to measure it.
You got to measure that earlobe.
Hey man, you're doing good stuff, man. I'm proud of you for continuing that, because it's tough to see the comments sometimes. Like they don't understand. And now you have to teach them. But they're insulting you. And so it's like, I'm trying to teach you, but you're insulting me, and you're making it seem like the stuff I'm doing is not useful. So it's kind of tough.
All right. If you would like to join us every week on Mondays at, what time is it? About 6 p.m. Central, which is the best time. That's where I am. Make sure you join us at youtube.com/Daily HiFi. We out.